Hi guys, how's it going? Yes, I know once again I'm really late and I'm truly sorry about that yet again. But I always try to assuage my guilt when I take a long hiatus by reviewing something special, and this time we're going to look at this, the Berserker dragon from Series 4. The first thing that hits you is that this dragon has two heads. Yep, this is a multi-headed dragon. Now in the past, I've touched on my dissatisfaction with how multi-heads often look really forced because of the cost constraints of keeping the box small. So you have compromises like this. This dragon though has only two heads, so that shouldn't come into play here. It's got a rather striking color combination, a mix of blue, black and yellow. And the nice thing about this figure is that the box is still really clear, unlike most old toys with yellowed clamshells. I wish this was the case for some of the other dragons I would have thought nice to keep MISB. This one, however, isn't one of them, so out he comes. Here's the dragon, which comes in 3 pieces. But really, if you look at the minuscule size and lackluster detail of this base, you might as well toss it out. It looks like it was broken off any of the generic bases we've seen so far, and its only function is to allow this nose-heavy dragon to balance itself. Nothing really worth talking about, so I won't. Just have a quick look at the detail here, just some rocky terrain, but really, that's about it. Size is really tiny. Here's the left wing, which I'll affix later. And finally, here's the dragon, which is what we really want to be talking about. The obvious starting points are the two heads, so let's start there. The first thing I like is that they diverge at quite a decent angle, which I think is important. So it doesn't look like it's one head that was tacked on to a single-headed dragon. I like that each head isn't actually the same. So if you look at the expressions wise, this is more like a closed mouth grimace. And this is a wide mouth open roar. But not just that, the ornamental horns are actually quite different. I think that's a plus because it gives each a different visage and personality. First, the right head here reminds me more of Styggy Moloch, while the one on the left with the horns around the base of the head is more reminiscent of Pachycephalosaurus or perhaps Dracorex. Now interestingly, this isn't just a dragon with two heads. There are two tails, hinted at by this fork here, and two pairs of arms. Now this raises an interesting question of whether this is more a case of conjoined twins rather than an actual species. If so, that makes very good sense to me. Alas, there is only one pair of wings instead of two, which would have been very cool to have. Now, against the Siamese twin theory are the arms, which would have been similar in the case of twins. Instead, you get actually two very different anatomies here. First, you have a more regular four-fingered hand. Then, you also have what will be very familiar indeed to most dinosaur lovers. Look at that. Remind you of anything? So let's talk about detail. The detailing on this dragon is actually quite a mixed bag. The lighting's actually quite poor. Let me try to readjust so we can bring out more of that detail. Now, actually, the wings look really bland. Let's talk about the wings first. It looks really ordinary, especially as compared to what we've been spoiled with on other McFarlane dragons. Nothing much to talk about. Some small texturing, but that's it. Really spindly wings, probably not capable of true flight. The body has a diversity of textures that will probably please any regular fan. Especially I want to talk about the texture on the arms and the ventral surface of the body. Reminds me very much of the what we saw in the series 1 Komodo dragon. Very similar. I like especially the texture here on the legs. I like the very sharp, rich scale look, and I love the way the scales kind of like overlap each other. Here as well. And that detail extends to the arms, the hands rather, and even the T-Rex limbs. See the very nice sharp ridges here. So I like that. Articulation is decent for a McFarlane figure. The head swivel. So too do the forelimbs, the middle limbs as well, the wings. Nothing in the legs. There is also an articulation here in the tail, which is pretty useless. What would have been nice is if they had used a wire armature for each of these tails so that you could pose them separately. Now, we've all said we come to the really disappointing thing about this figure, the QC, the quality control. To summarize it, it's crap. First, let's talk about the paint job. No, actually, let me just talk about the dragon itself here. So, where do I start? First, the heads. On the left head, it's a bit hard to see in this lighting, but there is a glaring contrast in paint between the head and the neck. Zero effort has been made to fade the colors. In addition, the spots here don't continue down where you expect some continuation. Just like you see on the right side, there is actually some effort made to continue the spots. So that's like a more contiguous line, but nothing here. Then you want to look at the belly of the animal. Now look at this blotch of white paint. What's it doing there? It's like I had a dragon I left on the table and some 3-year-old kid decided to get creative and smear a corrective fluid pen all over it. Or rather, they just kept it to one color. And to add insult to injury, if you look at the original, if you look at the concept art, you'll see that not only is that center part not white but brown, but they should have had a subtle fade from blue to white. Again, very reminiscent of the Komodo dragon we've got here. So if they could do it for this dragon, there is no reason why they couldn't do it for this dragon, which you'd expect to be special because it's got two heads and you want to highlight the dragon, right? But nope. Let's look at this leg here. Probably easier to see on this leg. No, it's hard with this lighting, but believe you me, the color difference is so glaring, it almost looks like he's wearing shorts. And likewise with the tail. Color discontinuity in the joint here. Really hard to see in this lighting. Apologize for that, but believe me, it's a lot more glaring than this. Now, I saved the worst for last. Look at this neck. Can you see this shelf? Now, the reason it's there is because the size of the necks aren't even uniform. It's like you have a graft of a thicker neck onto a smaller one. A vivisection experiment gone really, really bad. Now, that being said, I do want to touch on some good points. I like the color. Besides yellow and black being one of my favorite color combos, this looks very much like real-life animals such as the spotted salamander. I like these nods to real-world creatures because it gives a sense of realism to the dragons. Overall, the blue-black color of this dragon is actually quite nice. It hints at this animal being some denizen from hell. Unfortunately, I do not know why they have these blotches of brown here. Frankly, it looks like something has shed on this animal, which really takes away from the intimidation factor of this dragon. So there you have it. A good, nicely sculpted dragon for the most part. And it's really quite unusual. I like the way, like I said, some of the details where you have different arms, even different heads. No, it hints at some effort at the design. It's just really unfortunate that just one thing is ruined by awful quality control. A hideous paint job, a miserable base, and a very badly joined head that's really too obvious to ignore. So, should you get this dragon? I would say no, unless you like the novelty of a double-headed dragon. And if you do get it, you should have the paint job touched up, even if professionally. Because it really is very glaringly obvious. The wings are really hard to attach as well, so some shaving might need to be done. But in fairness, if you look here, you can see that at least the paint job will match up when I finally get that dragon wing in. So I don't know, it's really hard, like different angles, it looks really good. I think probably you know, just doing a touch-up paint job can really save this dragon. I got it because I like the fact that, you know, it is one of the first multi-headed dragons that McFarlane has done, and it's also, like I said, that divergent angle, it just looks so awesome, you know, from the front, from the top, from various angles. So guys, I leave this one up to you. That's it for this round. Thanks for your support and encouraging messages, and I look forward to coming back with another Series 4 Dragon review. Oh, and guys, let's start thinking about the fact that we're now into the third quarter of 2014. So get on those goals if you haven't already. That's it for me, guys.